Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Slow-mo, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance.
There's very little doubt that Ace Ventura, Pet Detective was the perfect outing to launch Jim Carrey's new level of stardom. It's virtually impossible to imagine anyone else bringing so much comedic weight to a role like that.
Really?
Given the hysterics of the movie, it's hard to nail down a single scene that tops them all. The fight between Ace and the Eagles mascot is great. However, we have to give it to the slow motion scene at the hospital.
I'm gonna execute a button hook pattern super slow-mo.
Carrey's rubbery faces combined with his perfect replay moment make this one of the most hilarious scenes of the movie.
Let's see that in an instant replay.
Going for the Oscar, The Mask. Sometimes you can tell that Hollywood has been waiting for the perfect actor to come along for certain roles. Jim Carrey as The Mask is a textbook definition of this. The Mask's literal rubber face is so believable because of Carrey's own facial magic. Any scene where Stanley Ipkiss puts on the mystical object has us glued to the screen.
They call me Cuba Pete. I'm the king of a rumba beat. When I play the maracas, I go chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom.
Whether it be the Cuban Pete dance number or his quiet escape from the apartment, every second we see him is a pure delight. But the best moment comes when the Mask fakes his demise with his Oscar-worthy performance.
Hold me closer, Ed. It's getting dark.
The scene served as another illustration of why this may be Jim Carrey's perfect role.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
Most annoying sound, Dumb and Dumber. 1994 was a huge year for Jim Carrey. He finished a year full of hits with Dumb and Dumber. As Lloyd Christmas, Carrey found yet another character perfectly suited for his talents. Combining him with the then dramatic actor Jeff Daniels proved to be a major hit with audiences. The entire dream sequence and the fight within is hilarious. But given how Carrey is known for improv, it's no surprise that one of the funniest moments was not in the script. While sitting in the van with Harry and Joe, Lloyd asks a question that leads to an uproarious sound.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Guys!
It's hysterical, especially when you know that neither of the other actors were expecting it. Rhino birth. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. It was a foregone conclusion that after the surprise success of the first Ace Ventura movie, a sequel would follow. Sure enough, in 1995, Ventura took his antics all the way to Africa. Although the movie replays many of the gags from the original, that doesn't take away from the overall hilarity. One of the more comical scenes from this film comes from Ace's undercover work.
Oh, look! The mother rhino is giving birth.
As he tries to escape a mechanical rhino, a collection of tourists mistakes his exit as a real rhino giving birth. Carrey goes full-on outrageous with the sounds and faces he makes as he leaves the rhinos behind. Somebody to Love, The Cable Guy. Given the tone of his previous movies, audiences were quite shocked when they saw The Cable Guy back in 1996. It's a movie that was far darker than anything we'd seen Jim Carrey in before. Even his take on the Riddler in Batman Forever was lighter than The Cable Guy's Chip Douglas.
Oh, Billy.
Despite the movie's bleak tone, it still gave us some memorable laughs. A big highlight was the karaoke rendition of Jefferson Airplane's Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
Sung by Carrey himself, it's a funny send-up of a classic song, combined with Carrey's signature rubber-faced antics.
You better find somebody to love.
The blooper reel, Liar Liar. Right in the middle of Jim Carrey's 1990s run, we got a killer comedy that showcased both his hilarity and dramatic chops. In Liar Liar, Carrey plays Fletcher Reed, an underhanded lawyer who mysteriously ends up with the inability to lie.
Everybody's been real nice.
Well, that's because you have big jugs. I mean, your boobs are huge. I mean, I want to squeeze them.
Forcing someone to be overly honest is one thing, but in the hands of Jim Carrey, it becomes something else entirely.
What the hell are you doing? I'm kicking my ass, do you mind?
From beating himself up to drawing on his own face, every scene he's in makes us laugh. As funny as the movie is, we have to give props to the outtakes shown during the end credits. We found ourselves cracking up at all the stuff that had to be cut from the main film.
Goodbye, Mr. Reed. No, wait! I didn't understand.
Here I come to save the day. Man on the Moon. Andy Kaufman was a performance artist who became well known after appearing on Saturday Night Live. His offbeat characters and unique approach to comedy made him memorable, especially among his peers. Kaufman's approach to comedy was often to antagonize the audience versus making them laugh. In 1999, Jim Carrey played the titular character in the biopic Man on the Moon.
You want to see some humor? Here's some humor right there. Some humor right there, okay? You just sit down and enjoy that, okay?
Carrey took the job so seriously, he fully committed to the role both on and off camera. So during scenes such as his raucous Mighty Mouse bit, it's both funny and a little unsettling as you see how serious the commitment truly is.
Here I come to save the day.
Price check. Me, Myself, and Irene. Me, Myself, and Irene gave Jim Carrey an outlet to showcase both over-the-top and subtle comedy. He plays a man with two personalities, the reserved Charlie and the aggressive Hank. Given how over-the-top Hank can be, it's no surprise that this is where we see some shining comedic highlights in the movie. When Charlie allows a woman to skip ahead in line, he quickly switches to Hank as her children pull up 2 carts of groceries. Hank's price check of a particularly personal item gives us a shocking yet knee-slapping moment.
Price check on Vegiclean, aisle 5. I repeat, price check on Vegiclean, aisle 5. That's Vegiclean. We got a customer down here with a full-on fallopian fungus. She's baking a loaf of bread, and I think it's sourdough.
Ron Howard impression, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. If there's anyone out there who was born to play the Grinch, it's Jim Carrey.
Oh. That's it, I'm not going.
The 2000 film he starred in showed us what Whoville and the famous green character could look like in live action. Critics praised a Carrey performance that gave us plenty of memorable moments. If we had to pick a favorite, we'd go with his impression of his own director Ron Howard.
You're a reindeer. Here's your motivation. Your name is Rudolph. You're a freak with a red nose and nobody likes you.
Sporting Ron's signature ball cap look, we see the green grouch giving motivation to his dog as the canine portrays Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. It's a quick blink and you'll miss it moment that will certainly give you a smile if you spot it.
Brilliant! You reject your own nose because it represents the glitter of commercialism. Why didn't I think of that? Cut, print, check the gate, moving on.
Evan loses his marbles. Bruce Almighty. Some of Jim Carrey's best comedic moments have been working with writer-director Tom Shadyac. From Ace Ventura to Liar Liar, it seems these two have an undeniable talent for making people laugh. In Bruce Almighty, Carrey plays a field reporter named Bruce Nolan, who's given all the powers of God. He eventually decides to use his mighty abilities against his colleague Evan Baxter, played by Steve Carell.
In other news, the Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
While on the air, Bruce uses his powers to make Evan spout uncontrollable gibberish. This leads to a genius marriage of comedic talent. As Carrey makes us laugh with silent actions, we find Carell's words and attempts to keep a straight face hilarious. Dinosaur impression. Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. If there's one thing that can be definitively said about Jim Carrey, it's that he excels in the portrayal of oddball characters. His version of Count Olaf certainly qualifies as another weird role.
Mengi gingi.
Mini Kiki.
Carrey's Count manages to steal nearly every scene he's a part of. He completely melts into the role as the nefarious caretaker of the Baudelaire children. And since Count Olaf is an aspiring actor, he constantly wants to show off his talents. His best display comes when he impersonates a dinosaur.
Let's go back to prehistoric times when dinosaurs ruled the earth.
From the way Carrey twists his face to the flailing of his arms, it's hilarity on display for all. Corner store robbery fail. Fun with Dick and Jane. Have you lost your job? Are you worried about being able to provide for your family? Thinking about turning to a life of crime? Welcome to Fun with Dick and Jane. Carrey plays a vice president who loses his job and finds himself struggling to make ends meet. While this 2005 romp isn't one of Carrey's most popular films, it still has some fantastic moments.
Anything else? Yeah, I got something else. Right here.
When Dick tries to hold a convenience store at gunpoint, he hilariously gets the gun stuck in his jacket. We can't help but laugh as Carrey flails himself around trying to dislodge the gun. Dick just isn't cut out to be a criminal.
That was wild.
Actually robbed that place?
No, but I had a slushie and I didn't even pay for it.
Tape face. Yes Man. Yes Man is one of those underrated, somewhat forgotten comedies of the mid-aughts. Jim Carrey plays bank loan officer Carl, a simple guy who's got a bit of a pessimistic view of the world. After being inspired by a self-help guru to say yes to everything, he majorly changes his life.
We hit a couple of raves last night. It was totally off the hook.
Yeah, you seem a little hyper.
I had a couple Red Bulls. Have you ever had a Red Bull? I never had a Red Bull before, but I had a Red Bull last night. I really like Red Bull.
Although the premise doesn't automatically elevate this movie above his other comedies, there are a few hidden gems here. Carl's back and forth with his coworker turns hysterical when Carrey can be seen wrapping his face with packing tape. You can almost see a bit of Ace Ventura in that distorted face. Carrey wraps it up quite well. Lawyer joke. I love you, Philip Morris. Although Jim Carrey is known for his over-the-top comedies, he is an actor who's shown an incredible amount of range. From The Truman Show to The Majestic, it's clear Carrey can do more than make funny faces. In I Love You, Philip Morris, we get a good combination of both his comedic and dramatic talents in one movie.
You doing good?
Kinda. Just got back from a lawyer's office. I asked him what's your fee. He says he charges $50 for 3 questions. So I asked him, don't you think that's a little expensive? He says, yes, it is. Now, what's your final question?
An understated highlight of this film is a scene where Steven, played by Carrey, tells a joke about a lawyer who charges by the question. We then get to see Carrey react as the joke is retold and butchered over and over again. Although it's less subtle than most of the comedian's gags, it's still a highlight of this great movie.
So the Northrop guy says, that question's gonna cost you $50 million. And that's the guy says, $50 million? Don't you think that's a lot of money? Northrop guy says, yep, that's another $50 million. You got any more questions?
Open the Bombay doors. Mr. Popper's Penguins. Not every comedic movie that gets made is going to be a blockbuster. That doesn't mean they can't still have their funny moments.
Don't do it.
Mr. Popper's Penguins focused on Thomas Popper, a real estate agent and father of 2 who inherited a penguin from his father. Thanks to a miscommunication, one penguin soon becomes 6. In one noteworthy scene, he has penguins in the bathroom and makes a loud exclamation with a double meaning. Sure, we know it's literally toilet humor, but we still find it funny.
Open the Bombay doors! Oh! That is some good.
Getting Drilled, the incredible Burt Wonderstone. While Steve Carell had a relatively minor appearance in Bruce Almighty and Carrey carried the film, the reverse was true for the incredible Burt Wonderstone. Carell serves as the main magician, while Jim Carrey gives us comedic bits here and there throughout the runtime.
Boring! Here's how I hammer a nail.
One hilarious highlight is when Carrey's character, Steve Gray, tries to perform an illusion of drilling a hole into his head. Predictably, it goes wrong, giving us an extremely cringeworthy laugh.
Ta-da!
Carrey really dug, or drilled, deep down for this one.
Hey, when did you guys get here? Oh, I left my drill. I left my drill out there. I left my drill.
Try to have fun. Kick ass too. After playing the supervillain known as the Riddler in Batman Forever, Carrey suited up to play a pseudo-superhero in Kick-Ass 2. As Colonel Stars and Stripes, he's masked up and fitted in full military camo gear. He's a quieter character than we're used to, but we still get the odd quip here and there that reminds us who's behind the mask.
All right, time for initiation. Turn around and I'll unzip you.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just joking. Let's get down to business.
The Colonel's best speech comes when he encourages the heroes before a big confrontation.
Eisenhower, at the ready. Insect Man, I want you right behind me. Everybody else, spread out, catch the strays. Oh, and try to have fun. Otherwise, what's the point?
It's especially ridiculous when you consider just how big a fight they head into right after. Pretty Girls at 12 o'clock. Dumb and Dumber 2.
Check out the hotties at 12 o'clock.
That's almost 3 hours away. Can I check them out now?
It took 2 decades, but we've finally got a sequel to Dumb and Dumber. Lloyd has been in a mental institution ever since the events of the first movie. However, it turns out that it's been one long practical joke against his best friend Harry.
So you mean that you just wasted the best years of your life
Out the window.
and you let me come here every Wednesday for like 1,000 weeks and it was all just for a gag?
Uh-huh.
The sequel goes through the usual tropes of seeing these two dumbfounded guys trying to make their way through their latest adventure. But there's one scene that really stands out. Inspired by the ending of the original, the boys spot some pretty girls and don't want to blow their chances. But instead of asking them out, they opt to shove them into the bushes and laugh.
Bush Club!
Just as juvenile as the original, but still funny. I love your latte. Sonic the Hedgehog. The last decade has seen Jim Carrey switch more from hilarious roles to dramatic ones. This left us missing the more over-the-top comedic persona we saw in the 1990s. So, when 2020's Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out, we were all happy to see Carrey return to his roots.
Are you in charge here?
Yes, I
Nope.
am.
Wrong. I'm in charge.
Is
Me.
Major
Ben charge.
The role of antagonist Dr. Robotnik was perfectly built for the likes of Jim Carrey. The villain was quirky, made lots of weird noises, and even had some funny dance moves. Our favorite laughable moment comes when he jumps and snaps at his assistant's offer of a latte.
I just thought you might like a latte with steamed Austrian goat milk.
What do I look like, an imbecile? Of course I want a latte.
I love the way you make them.
We didn't think someone yelling a compliment could be so funny. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.